Welcome to the American Roadrunner Podcast.
Yep, it's that time again. Glad y'all could join us here today on this, the American Roadrunner Podcast, where here we share stories from the road in our two-wheeled motorcycle machines. All tales of spills, thrills, and chills, all the good, bad, and ugly stories from the open road, and now for the marathon.
I'm Brian Phillipson.
And I'm your other host, Bob Marshall.
You can find us at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook.com or wherever you like to listen to podcasts at American Roadrunner the Podcast. You can also find the awesome book by Mr. Bob Marshall, American Roadrunner. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and if you have any comments, you want us to cover a certain topic, go ahead and email us at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook@gmail. We have a lot of friends that sponsor this podcast, one of them being Ride 1K in a Day. We also have the Flying Dutchman Company. On Instagram, you can find Jake at the Flying Dutchman Co. That's all one word. And then our good friend Bo Monster at BoMonster.com. He's the guy who did the awesome book cover and some images you can find on the website.
Awesome book cover. All the good artwork. Lucky us.
Yeah. Well, let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it.
So, here it is, a Monday when we're recording this, and it's obviously the day after the weekend. And from what I understand, Bob, you went on a little excursion. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was quite a fine motorcycle trip. Just a nice little hop from here in Riverside, Southern California, over to Tucson, Arizona for the Tucson Book Festival.
Now, to our listeners over in Antarctica and in Portugal, how many miles is that? People who don't know where Tucson is.
Yeah, I think it's 400 miles there and back.
And how many kilometers for those in our Antarctica and
so
Portugal?
Maybe that'd be just under 600 kilometers, give or take.
Okay. The whole standard and imperial system is really going to screw the Americans over.
Eventually. But the mile, 5,280 feet. The English mile, somewhere around 400 miles there. Maybe 400 miles back. Maybe just over 400 miles. It was a nice day, but I got to bring a guest this time, so I was pretty excited.
And it's somebody our listeners might be familiar with from one of our previous podcasts. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, my lady?
Hi, I'm Annette. I'm back.
Welcome back.
Annette's back. Lucky
Annette.
for us.
Annette's Earth with a D.
Earth with the D.
In front.
Yes, one of our favorite guests. So awesome. We had to have her back. So you and Mr. Marshall here, you guys went on this excursion, not like together but not together, because most people think of like going somewhere together in a car, but you guys went to the same place
on separate rides.
Yep. So no ride in the sissy bar for you.
No.
Or for you, Mr. Bob Marshall.
No, not this time.
See, I was looking at Bob when I said no riding the sissy bar, right?
Right. I don't mind playing Piloteer every now and then. It's okay. But for that many miles, no. I jumped on my Pop's big old man bagger, and Annette was on her beautiful orange Harley.
Street Glide.
It is a beautiful Harley. I've only seen pictures of it until now, and now it is out in front of the place where we are podcasting from, and it is a work of art. I like it.
Thank you. That's my baby girl.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's nice to see in the rearview mirror, too. I can usually see her anywhere, no matter where she is in the rearview mirror. It kind of stands out, so it's a huge plus.
Yeah. Now, you called it your baby girl. Do you have a name for your baby girl?
Yes, I do. Her name is Lucy Lou.
Lucy Lou. What gave you the idea to call your baby Lucy Lou?
I actually have no idea.
You're not a fan of the actress Lucy Lou?
Not at all. No, not at all.
She's a great actress.
She
Kill Bill.
She's just not,
that chick's got talent.
I'm just not. No, when I think of Lucy Lou, I think of Lucille Ball. When I think of Lucy, because of the red. Red hair. I'm
on a different wavelength. I'm thinking of Lucy Lawless.
Well,
I'm thinking of Xena Warrior
Princess.
You
are really on it. Yeah.
No.
This is great.
No, I'm thinking my age group, and you're thinking your age
group.
Yeah.
I would ask Mr. Bob Marshall what the name of his bike is, but he's got so many children in the backyard, he probably can't keep track of the names if he tried to name them.
So when you read my book, it's kind of a big... Well, The answer is I really don't name stuff. That's it. I grew up in a family where everything was named, and stuff is just stuff, so I don't name it. But I have had some forward movement in that department, so I'm pretty proud of myself, but you'd have to read about it in the book.
So that's a call to arms for our listeners to buy the book.
Moving forward.
Moving forward.
Or borrow it from someone and read it.
American
Whatever. Whatever works.
All right. So you guys went to Tucson. How long did it take to get there? Did you have to make any stops or anything?
So the bike I was on, the 04 VT 1300, that was my pop's, only goes about 140 miles, maybe 130, depending on the weather. Annette's bike can do something like 220 before it needs to be refueled. So you're only as good as your weakest link. So yeah, we ended up stopping every 130, 120 miles.
So how many times did you stop in between? Because myself, I've traveled that so many times. The
10.
Yeah, the 10 between Riverside and Phoenix. I used to live in North Phoenix, and probably like twice a month I would go back and forth between California and Arizona, and I would always find myself stopping to get gas right in the middle at Blythe. That's the name, Blythe.
Yeah.
Little spot in the road where it's a bus station and a whole bunch of restaurants.
Yeah, well, and I've traveled it too on a motorcycle. Gosh, tens of times. And I've got a lot of good memories on that road as a kid. My dad would always drive us out to the river in the big old motorhome. So I've probably traveled that road more than any other road in the U.S. My best friend lives in Phoenix. Anyways, all sorts of excuses to hop over to Arizona for me. So you kind of learn where all the stops are.
You got any favorite gas stations, quartzsite, anywhere?
Yeah, well, the answer is whatever ones are preferably on the right side of the highway. Mm-hmm. That's, if you could do that. I think once we had to jump over to the left.
Yeah, I prefer truck stops. That's usually where I stop when I'm by myself.
Yeah,
truck stops.
They usually have all the amenities. I think some you can still rent DVDs from them.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You can, definitely. I just feel it's safer, and I've always felt safer because they're more crowded. There's more people moving around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just prefer them, and they have. If you're hungry, you could grab something decent.
You can do laundry if you need to. If you
take a
didn't bring
shower.
enough pairs of underwear.
Stuff.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of women running around the back for some reason, jumping in between the trucks. I don't know.
Those are called lizard lots.
Lizard lots. I've never heard of that.
I've heard strawberry too.
It's usually lizard lots.
Oh, okay. Well,
the subject maybe for another podcast. No,
Anyway, so honestly, I kind of prefer the medium ones. The truck stops are really cool at night, but during the day, I usually like the medium ones as long as it seems like they might have fresh coffee. So we kind of stop between the two.
Ones?
Oh, the medium-sized ones, you know.
Medium size.
Yeah, we stopped at a few of those.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's like Goldilocks over here.
Yeah,
he doesn't want the little ones. He doesn't want the big gas stations
something
with
in
all
the
the
middle.
truckers. Wants something in the middle. It's just right.
Yeah, we stop a little bit more because when he needs fuel, I'm still at a half a tank. So I can keep going. So,
right, and
I don't stop. Yeah.
Yeah, if I was on my KZ can do 250 miles, so we'd be stopping for her. So we would just go. We did stop for food on our way there, breakfast
in Blythe.
Old steak and cakes.
Steak and cakes.
That's a good one. Just one of our favorite little eateries there off the 95 and the 10. But other than that, we just kind of rolled on through. I guess we lost an hour going that way.
Yeah, but we lost an hour going out.
Oh yeah, because of course Arizona, they decided we got enough daylight. We don't need to save daylight. So yeah, I didn't know about this when I went out to Arizona the first time, and I called my mom. I'm like, hey, I'll be there at 6 p.m. I'll be there for dinner. And then I get there and she's like, you're an hour late. What the hell, Brian? And I'm like, what?
Exactly.
She's like, everybody went home. Oh, I didn't know that they don't change the clocks.
Right.
So yeah, you cross into Arizona and
it's a different time zone.
Yeah.
Well, they did pretty well. It was a good ride. The weather was good. I know a few of our friends commented they thought it might rain, but we brought our rain gear, but our mama's made us waterproof, so it's not a big deal. But it didn't rain. The weather was perfect. It was a little chilly, I reckon.
It was perfect.
But yeah, it was pretty nice. So it was a good ride there. Hung out, found some dinner, and then woke up the next day, and I got to go to the book festival.
Oh, you know what? Before we go into the book festival, did you guys do any two-wheeled camping like we've talked about in the past?
Nope. We got a room.
Okay. Well, yes.
Yeah, we got a room at the Econo Lodge there on Stone next to the university.
Yeah. Then again, it is winter, so
And I overpacked, and I brought 16 pair of underwear, and I brought a whole bag of clothes, and
you can make a pillow out of underwear when you go camping. You bring so many.
Well, that's what I do. I take a pillowcase.
Yeah.
And then I shove clothes in it.
Oh, really?
And then I wrap it or roll it or I tie it, and then that's my pillow.
I've always done the thing where you bring a sweatshirt and then you just stuff a whole bunch of dirty clothes in it and use that as a pillow.
Yeah, same concept.
Yeah, except not underwear.
Not dirty underwear.
Yeah.
No, it's a good idea. It works. I know we were a pillow shy in the room, so we just used one of our saddle rags, one of our...
Oh, that's right, because
Native American Mexican blankets. Yeah, it worked pretty well.
They didn't give you another pillow?
Oh, they just had two, and honestly, I like a lot of pillow behind my head, so
I just made one. But there's probably one in the closet we didn't even look.
Oh, that's true. We never opened the closet.
But we stopped Friday night and got me 2 Mexican blankets at the truck stop.
Yeah.
And then Saturday I picked up another one. So I left with one and came home with 4 Mexican blankets.
What is the deal with you and Mexican blankets?
Well, I'm Mexican.
Well, yeah.
They're nice classic. And warm. See what's on my lap?
So you got one of different colors?
I got a turquoise one, a turquoise one, orange, and red. I got the turquoise and the orange Friday night, and then when I was down in Tombstone, I was like looking at the red ones, like, I need a red one for my Honda, so to match my Honda. So.
And she had brought one, but I forgot my saddle rag. The one that's on her lap right now is actually the saddle rag I usually take everywhere with me. I've sat on it for a few 100,000 miles, but I caught it on fire once too. But other than that, it seems to be keeping her warm right now.
Yeah.
So I shared my yoga one with him. He used that one while
It worked.
I don't sit on mine. I use mine as my backrest.
Cool. If you didn't have it in front of you right now, showing me what your saddle rag is, I would assume a saddle rag is something else completely different. Nice. I wouldn't think of it as a blanket. I would think a saddle rag is something a lot dirtier. If you don't know by now what that bell is...
I love the bell. I got a bell.
Every time you hear that bell, think twice about what you just heard. You might find another meaning and understanding of what we're talking about.
Dun, 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 dun.
The double entendre.
The bell's going to be pretty exciting. And I like how easily I can reach it here in our recording studio. Apparently Brian can reach it too.
I had to say it. I mean, I had to do it right then because of what he said.
Okay, I'll give up. So we had a nice ride. And then, I hit up the book festival, and I had to kind of geek it up for that. And it was just a mile down the road, so I even brought like my Converse so I wouldn't look like a pirate. And I just wore regular black jeans and a shirt and my backpack, and went around the book festival. The book festival was extremely exciting because I realized just how much different things are compared to how I'm doing them. Audible was not there. No podcasters were there. People were busy selling their books. Authors were there doing these great panels. So I learned a lot about all sorts of different array of subject. But at the end of the day, they were interested in selling their books, of course. So their books were available to purchase, and it was great to have them there to sign it. One of my favorite authors, Robert Kurson, was there, and it was great to meet him and talk to him and share with him what I was doing. And I'll tell you, probably the most exciting part of my weekend was I told him about my book as he was asking about it, and it was one of those, he wasn't at the table signing at the time, he was just walking down the road, and I just saw him in a panel and asked him a question. I had asked him the question about, could you tell us the adventure of getting a narrator for your book? And he said, oh, yeah. And he got Ray Porter. And Ray Porter is one of my favorite narrators. So he started talking about that on the panel. We were walking and just had a nice stop and chat. And he goes, well, what's your book? I'd really be excited to read it. And I said, well, if you got room in your luggage, let me gift you one. I got one right here for you. And he goes, oh, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to accept your book as a gift. I like to support indie authors and I'm going to buy your book on Amazon.
Fascinating.
And my head just spun.
Wow.
I thought, boy, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. So he, took my card and said, absolutely, I'll be purchasing this as soon as I get back.
Right.
It was great.
And he was already carrying too many books, and he that was just his way of getting away from carrying another book. I'll get it
on out. It was great the way he stated it. He's over in Chicago, so he had a 17-year-old son with him. And boy, this kid's got to be 6'5". I mean, he's just built for basketball, I reckon, and it's rare that I have to look up at someone, but here I am looking up at the 17-year-old. And he was so excited to hear about motorcycles. So Robert Kurson's dad used to sell motorcycle paints and lubricants back in the 50s and 60s. And so Robert would cruise around with his dad all over the 48s selling all this stuff. So he knew everything about the old motorcycles, everything about the old flat track racing, everything about anyways, it was great. It was great to just have a nice stop and chat with one of my favorite authors for a few minutes.
Wow. So you were geeking out about this author.
Big time.
And the kid was geeking out on you and your bike and everything like that.
It worked really well. And then the next day, Sunday, when I ran into the kid, I got him talking about riding motorcycles. So then I saw his dad was on another panel, which was wonderful to listen to. That one was about Rocket Men, his newer book that he wrote about Apollo 8. And I had to tell him how much that meant to me. And I'll get a little personal and tell everybody. I used to ask my dad, Dad, where were you when Apollo 11 landed on the moon? He goes, I don't care. That was just part of it. That was just Apollo 11. But let me tell you where I was when we finally shot a rocket ship in front of a moving target called the moon and got it into orbit, and that was called Apollo 8. And my dad would go on and on about how cool Apollo 8 was compared to Apollo 11. Growing up, being educated in the public school system, I was taught differently, so we'd have these great arguments. Robert Kurson wrote the book stating and reminding the rest of us that Apollo 8 was a lot cooler than Apollo 11. So I had to share with him, and his head just spun. He thought that was the coolest thing, so it's a good weekend.
And for our friends in the USSR, we can't forget about Yuri Gagarin, the first cosmonaut from Russia. He beat us all. He beat John Glenn up in space.
Well, I reckon Sputnik beat everybody, but
yeah. Well, that dog beat everybody.
Then the dog beat everybody.
That had a twin, and they were like, "Yeah, this is the dog we launched up." And
now we're really geeking out, aren't we?
Yeah,
okay.
we are.
Enough
so
of the NASA.
Back to the book fair. Okay,
right.
So you've been to book fairs before, right?
You know what? I have with my daughter. Just kind of spectating. There was a bunch of cool clubs, the Western Writers of America. Chatted with them. I ran into another group called Forever Westerners, but all this group did was meet on Tuesday nights for dinner and talk about Old West books. And they were selling a few they had around, so I was able to buy a few from them. But it was great to share with them the open mic bike night that we do.
Yeah.
And then they were sharing with me therefore. And they were very similar. One just has to do with Old West books, and another one has to do with motorcycles. So it was pretty neat. Other than that, you could have gotten solar panels there. You could have gotten water softeners there. I mean, there was just a ton of, and there had to be maybe 20,000 people throughout. It was a huge mall in the University of Arizona there.
So was it a book fair that had all those other things, or was it like a state fair that had some books too?
It might have been option B.
Okay.
I was a little spun. There were no podcasters there. There were no Audible guys there. There were no, and these are all part of, sharing stories. Mm-hmm. This was specifically books.
Okay.
They had a ton of cooking too for some reason. I guess cooking books is really big business.
Cooking books are never going to go away.
Yeah.
I had an idea for a cookbook a while ago. Do you want to hear it?
I'm scared.
No, my idea for a cookbook is, cookbooks never go out of style, even though you can look up recipes online. But I wanted to make a scratch and sniff cookbook because
no. Get
this. You can look at pictures of a cookbook and whatever they present the food, it's gonna look beautiful. They can decorate a piece of dog shit and it's gonna look edible. but you don't know how it tastes. So I figure you get this scratch and sniff cookbook. So people get the book and they're like, oh, that's a pretty picture of chicken. And then they scratch and they're like, oh my gosh, that smells so good. I want to cook that now. So, hey, nobody can steal my idea. So
I'd like to make the same book, but have it a lick, not a scratch and sniff.
well,
Have it a lick and taste.
By the time you get the cookbook that your grandma handed down, it's got 30 people licking off of it. I don't think you
Family tradition, apparently.
It's no longer the cookbook. It'll be called the lick book.
Exactly. I'm going to invent the lick book.
Okay.
So you enjoy that scratch and sniff cook. So many puns, so many times. So this wasn't the cool part of the weekend. The cool part of the weekend is why I was geeking out at the book festival. Miss Annette was
riding. I went 1,245 miles this weekend.
Whoa.
She did a few more miles than I did.
So you just kept on going in circles in the parking lot?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. That was what I did.
No, like seriously, where'd you go to?
I said. I went down to Tombstone Saturday morning. I had never been.
Me neither.
I went down to Tombstone, spent
See Doc Holliday.
Hour-ish down.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
Oh my
Exactly.
I could quote Tombstone all day.
All day long. Yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. Just all the actors down there. And
Was there a lot of people in Tombstone?
well, yeah, it was Saturday, so it was pretty, and it was great weather because they've been having crappy weather like us. So there was bikes and people everywhere.
So is it a ghost town, or is it like, did a city get built up around it? Or
Yeah,
is it like
It never stopped being a town.
Okay.
It was named after the Tombstone Mine,
right?
which was founded out there, and so the town's still there. They just kept a lot of the old history, and they make all their money off tourism now. The mine's closed.
I just
so-
imagine it being in the middle of nowhere, and there just being like people who come as actors
There
and
was
do
there
the
was a
gunfight.
mine- There was a mine tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
saw
you could
it.
tour the mine. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a mine tour, and then they have the stagecoaches that you jump in and they do tours. They talk. I heard them talking. Then they had the gunfight shows in the street, in the bar. There, people are always trying to get you to.
it's like Knott's Berry Farm on crack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really touristy. You got to be careful.
Once I found it took me a while to find parking.
Oh, I should have told you where to park. Sorry.
Yeah, once I found
There's a
parking,
church. I like to park. Yeah.
then I walked the street and I went to Big Nose Kate's. I was
Nice.
Yeah, because when I pulled into town on Friday, I hit up Instagram and said, "Hey, I'm in town. People tell me what to do." So a few people sent out a few things. So I went there, had lunch and a beer. Then I walked around, did a little bit of shopping, and then from there I took off down to Bigsby,
Oh, okay.
which is my new fave.
It is pretty cool that these days you have social media and you can do something like what you did, where you send out a message like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here. What should I do?" And people will reply and tell you, "You got to check out this diner, or you got to find this hidden spot."
Exactly. I did that when I went to Maine. Some of the cities I would do that, and then friends would tell me what to do. So I did that Friday night. A couple family members and some friends hit up stuff for like hiking, and which obviously I couldn't do because wasn't planning on hiking. And then my biker friends, my riding friends, they're the ones who tell me where to go and what to do and what to see at those little towns. And
There was that one comment you said, "Oh, my friend here says I should go to Sonota." And I would know Sonoita.
Sonoita.
And I would only know, I got a friend, Sonoita Sam, who lives, otherwise I wouldn't know how to pronounce it either,
How do you spell it?
Sonoita, Sonoita.
Huh.
And they told me to take the back road, so I took 83 down off of 10. I took 83 and then through that little town. I did stop. I stopped at an antique store for a while, and then from there I took off onto 82, which dropped me right into Tombstone. And then after Tombstone, I continued 82 into Bisbee. And I was going to stop at, because I like local craft beers. I was going to stop at, first I pulled up right in front of a brewery, and then I saw St. Elmo's across the way, so I thought I'll go over there, because I'm more of a small dive bar girl.
Bars.
That's what I like.
Like a pool table,
Yes.
a layer of smoke in the air, and bunch of guys who look like they've never left the seat.
Yes, that's exactly what I got.
I hang out there a lot with my Stampeder friends, so you're kind of describing us right now. I'm just going to say that. St. Elmo's is a good bar.
Yeah. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, two were sitting together and the other 2 were on the other side of the bar, and me, and then the bartender. Mm-hmm. And when I sat down, I looked at her taps, and she had the Bisbee's craft beer, their brewery on tap there, so it was perfect, and it was $1 cheaper. She said, she's like, it's cheaper here, $1 cheaper than the actual brewery. So
wow. And
then she gave me a taste of all the beers, and then I picked the one I wanted and sat there and talked with the locals. I was in there for like an hour and a half. Just bullshitting.
It reminds me of my favorite dive bar when I did live in Arizona. Back when I used to drink, before I was a teetotaler like I am today. My favorite bar in Arizona was called the Flight Line. And it's called the Flight Line because it's right by the airport, and the planes literally come down and the wheels almost like touch the roof of this bar as they're landing.
That's great.
It was a cool little dive bar. They didn't have anything special like that. It was just a place that you could play darts and get a cold Coors Light, or like I like to think of it, water.
Exactly.
Well, St. Elmo's is that place. I'll tell you, it's the only place, and I'm going to pick on a friend right now. It's the only place my buddy Mike Shoup has ever hugged me. So that's when I know he's having a good time, because that man barely shakes my hand, and he's a great friend, fellow Stampeder. He's out up in Silver City, New Mexico, but I ran into him there after not seeing him for a few months, and the man hugged me. I thought, boy, this is a cool place. Mike's really having a good time, And
it was a cool bar, and it's two bars. It's like one, and then you walk around towards the back, and then the other side has more tables and stuff. Not another bar, but so I was in there quite a while talking to the locals and bullshitting with the bartender, and then I finally got out of there, and then I hit the Copper Queen Hotel. Yeah,
that's a good hotel, which is really kind of around the corner from the park, and that's where my buddies Tiny and Sam hosts through their conglomerate Old Shit Rules. They host the Howlin' Prowl, which I've been going to for many years, but it really is it's a great bike show, but it's really more of a contest of how many people and how many motorcycles you can fit into a park that might be almost an acre.
I don't even think it's an acre.
It's tiny. But there's a nice band shell and stuff, so they really make a good time out of it. And that's this year, that's May 25th, 24th, 25th, 26th, I think. Anyways, Memorial Day weekend. I'll be down there having a good time. And our good buddy Naco Chris has a place right there in Naco, so we usually take over his property and camp out.
Yeah.
Last year, though, I stayed at the Copper Queen just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I went in there. It was really nice. I was gonna go have lunch there, and then I decided I was gonna keep walking. I wasn't quite ready for lunch because I was full from the beer, and so I walked around and did some shopping, and then found that park because that's where that girl was. I'm not supposed to buy any more jewelry, but bought another piece of jewelry.
And I'm looking at a beautiful piece of jewelry with some pieces of jade, and it's got a feather. Looks like a First Nations feather. Very cool. It's bone. Okay. It's beautiful.
But that was just Saturday. Then there was, we're just going to point it out there.
Did you have an itinerary, Bob?
Well, yeah, I was going over to Tucson to check out the book festival, and the answer was, I think Annette had a much better time than I did.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave, but I finally, I'm looking at the clock, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go.
She really took it to heart when I said pictures or it didn't happen, because I saw your pictures on your Instagram. Yes. You got a lot of cool pictures of the places you went.
Yeah, I went. And then from there, I came. Oh no, I didn't. I went to the Mission on the way back.
Nice. Mission? I thought those were only in California.
Nope.
No, they got Arizona missions too.
Yeah, it was on the list. One of my friends, Moto Spirit Mag, he sent me a list of stuff to do. So checked out the map, and it was right by the hotel.
Yeah.
Office 19. I think it was 19. So I went off, and I got there like maybe 10 till, or a little bit less, till 5. And it said it was open till 5, but I walked up to the church and kind of peeked inside, and the wall said they had Saturday night mass at 5:30. So I was gonna go in and take pictures because it was beautiful in there, but the elders were already in there, and I didn't want to be that person in there taking pictures with all the Mexican elderly people in there. So then then I walked over. They have a lot of stands there out in front where the natives cook fry bread.
Ooh.
So I got some fry bread.
I've never had fry bread. It sounds good, though.
It's so yummy.
Yeah?
It's the greatest. Yeah, my grandmother used to make fresh tortillas for us kids when we were little, and we'd all sit around the table, and her stove was like literally right here, and it's a tortilla, homemade tortilla, and she'd fry it, then she'd sprinkle cinnamon sugar on it.
Ooh.
And we used to call them lalas.
Lalas.
I don't think that's the correct name, but that's what we called them.
Well, I know them as churros or something like that.
No. These are tortilla. This is like
Yeah.
a tortilla that's been fried.
I've had something like that.
But the fry bread is a little thicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of what Indian.
Is it like a pita kind of thing? No. Okay, I'm just going to stop because I'm so far off on food.
They're just so good. And you can have them with beans and meat and cheese and, and they even have them with powdered sugar or honey, honey and sugar. But I just went with the traditional. I posted a picture of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I got in trouble. Somebody's like, "You're not supposed to be eating that." And I'm like, all right, I got caught. I only ate half, and then I gave the other half to a stray dog that was sitting there. Because there's lots of dogs out there. So I had to give the other half to the stray dog. So I'm like, yeah, I could, because I can't eat all that.
They don't have stray dogs out there. That was a coyote, girl. You bet a coyote. No, this sounds really cool. Is there a place that somebody else could get a list like what you had to where they could check out the sites that you did in Arizona? Or is that just like, you had a friend and they kind of slid it to you?
You just got to kind of wander and make it up yourself. Yeah, wander and have a good time.
You can actually probably look all that stuff up online. But
yeah.
Explore America.
I'm in the writing community, I just kind of threw it out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean is like, there's obviously tourist maps, just like any tourist trap like Tombstone. But like, I'm just wondering if there's like a cool local map or some website that somebody could go to and know about the sites that locals go to.
Right.
You know what
it's
I
all
mean?
about who you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay to get lost and see what you find. That's when you find the best stuff is when you get lost. Although Saturday night we got to check out your friend's band, so
yeah, that's why I had to get back. So I got up there and I got back to the room about 6, I think.
You guys saw a band?
Yeah, my favorite cover band was playing in Tucson, and it's called Cashed Out.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash is one of my favorites.
Oh, cool.
So he was there. They were there, and funny story is that I follow them everywhere by accident. Huh. I mean, they're from San Diego, and I see them here a lot, all the time. But we happened to be not happen. We knew they were going to be in Sturgis the same time we were going to be there, so we went and saw them there. They happened to be staying in our same motel. My friend of mine, Robin, and my cousin, we took off to D.C. in 2014, and we stopped at Johnny Cash's house and all of that stuff, and they were like 2 days behind us, so it was kind of a funny. And so when I was leaving on Sunday, packing up my bike to head out, this guy comes out of his room. He's holding a 12-pack of Coors, and I looked at it and I thought, no, I can't forget the beer. And I looked up and it was him. I'm like, hey, Doug. So he came over. He's like, oh, we got to stop meeting like this. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Was there a cover June Carter that was with the Johnny
Cash?
That's
hilarious. That's a funny story.
Yeah, well, no.
They brought some lady up on stage, but she had no idea what she was doing. She just
she looked like June Carter Cash.
No, too much, I reckon.
She suggested that she could sing Jackson with
and
them.
she could not.
Yeah, and she could not sing.
Class.
But
Not
when
American
I
Idol.
first found them, I found them at the Fender Museum in Corona.
Yeah.
It happens to be Johnny Cash's birthday celebration, so we went down there to go check it out, and they were playing. They were playing with Johnny Cash's original drummer, and so then we found out who they were, and then we started following them, and then we would see them like accidentally. We'd happen to be at a place, and they would be there too. So yeah, they're really good band. They're pretty good. He was a little happy on the stage Saturday night, but when I first met them, they did have some girl that would sing, and she was good. And she would tour with them, but I haven't seen her in quite a while. So, yeah, that'd be cool if that was always. But, there's not that many girls that probably want to travel with 4 other guys cross country in a van.
Right.
Unless he was married to her, or one of them was married to her or something.
Cover band groupies are probably pretty low on the scale.
These poor guys. But they're working hard. They're having a good time. And we were fortunate enough to know a local, my good friend Reed McCleary, who owns Max Cycles. His girlfriend Cheyenne lives there in Tucson, so we got to take her out for the evening. She went with us and found some dinner and a nice coffee house and university there, Tucson. Anyways, it was a good time. It's always nice taking my friend's girlfriend out.
Exactly.
She's one heck of a silversmith, actually.
Oh, wow.
She's on Instagram as Wells Silversmith. Wells.silversmith, I think. Anyways, boy.
Beautiful stuff. I can't wait to.
For being as young as she is, she's extremely creative.
Yeah, so if you ever need to buy me a piece of jewelry,
Right.
Just hit her up.
Motorcycle
Just
parts aren't good enough?
Send it care of American Roadrunner in Riverside, and then Bob will make sure that he gives it to Annette with his name on it and say, look what I got you.
I did take you to a cemetery today. That was pretty romantic.
That's pretty romantic.
Wow.
That's a different story, though.
Real dark.
But Sunday, she got to go up to... Sunday, the book festival is still going on, so I hit it up again. And then you went up Mount Lemon?
Mount Lemon, another local... Moto Spirit Magazine, he told me to go up there. So I went up. It was probably 35 miles outside of Tucson. Beautiful ride.
Lots of snow, though, from the pictures.
Yeah, I got up there at 8,000, and it was... People were
Snow
sledding.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't snowing, but it was beautiful. But they were sledding, snow everywhere. It was
I was
great.
going to ask about that because one of my favorite places in Arizona, I have to go every time we go to Arizona, is Sedona. And I know that's it's like halfway between Phoenix and Flagstaff, I know they have snow right now, and I bet it's just beautiful. It probably looks like snow on Mars because Sedona's just got red rocks and lots of forest. It's one of the coolest places, and that's probably one of the first places I want to ride to as soon as I get up on two wheels.
Well, and that's a trick to Arizona, is that as long as you're anywhere but Phoenix, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, just go south, go north, you're golden.
Right.
Just stay away from Phoenix and you're golden. That's the rule. That's it.
And I think a lot of people have motorcycles in Arizona because it's a great way to stay cool. You know, you just ride on a motorcycle and it's like a natural air conditioner.
Yeah, and they've just gotten to where they allow you to share lanes on the highway. So they took it out as being illegal. So I reckon soon enough it'll be legal. They're starting to follow California in that regard. So
and they don't have a helmet law.
They got no helmet law.
That's always interesting.
One less thing to worry about.
Yep.
Exercise your freedoms.
But I wear my helmet the whole time.
Yeah, you know, Arizona's traffic laws have been changing a little bit. I noticed the last time I was there, you could make a right turn on red, and before, when I lived there, you couldn't make a right turn on red.
Yeah.
And all the stoplights, most of them didn't have a left turn arrow. You just had to wait for cars to stop coming in the opposite direction on the highway, and then just, go at your own, I can't think of the word, go at your own risk. How come I could not remember risk? I'm always forgetting about risk, I guess.
Okay, that's enough for now. Yeah, it was a really good trip, and we just took the extra day today. Slowly made our way back. We stopped last night at my best friend F-Bomb's house and hung out there with him for a while, and then slowly made our way back. And that's nice too, because we just went from Tucson to Phoenix. It's like 100 miles.
F-Bomb's in the book, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah, right
I thought I recognized the name.
Yeah, fellow Stampeder. Boy, someone I was a big fan of for many years before we befriended each other. And now you'll catch us out land speed racing a lot together. So yeah, F-Bomb Racing is quite the authority on all coolness. So I'm a big fan.
I was very impressed with his whole...
Oh, really? Maybe I shouldn't have taken you to his house. I look like crap next to that guy.
F-Bomb stole my girl.
Yeah. Oh. No, he's got a motorcycle addiction like I do.
Yes, he does.
He's got one heck of a car addiction as well, but regardless, it's all pretty awesome. We'll have to have him on the podcast sometime, but fortunate enough to call him my friend. This morning, though, we were fortunate enough to get to sit down up in Camelback, just north of Phoenix, with one Mandy Wimmer, who is sister to one Chris Wimmer, who does the Old West podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And Chris is a journalist, and he goes through the Old West stories and writes them in a way for the podcast that makes a lot of sense. Boy, I think they're on their 5th season or something right now. They've got great sponsorship. Anyways, it was great just to sit down with her for an hour and have some morning coffee and talk podcasting and everything great in between. So if you're listening to this, thank you, Mandy, for the meeting time. Yeah, she was very insightful. And then we just hit the road and slowly made our way back. Stopped in Quartzsite for some lunch, do some gem shopping. I picked up some used Old West books. Annette picked up, what did you pick up? I forget.
Just a leather band for my new
Right.
other piece.
Right.
Just a few pieces.
It's amazing how much crap we bring on our bikes and then try to stuff more crap on top of it.
What kind of leather band is this?
When I purchased this piece, she gave me a really nice...
This piece is in the jewelry that you're wearing.
The piece of the jewelry, yeah. And
Okay.
then oh, that's right. Can't see through people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For those who
Thank
aren't
God.
here, she's pointing to her necklace.
Yes.
Yes.
When I picked up this necklace, she gave me another piece of jewelry that's more of like a hand bead, prayer bead. She called it her meditation beads.
Okay.
But it's a beautiful piece, and I'd like to make it into a choker. So we stopped, and I grabbed some leather for that, and then I grabbed a little tree charm. And what else did I get? Oh, a jewelry
It's Quartzsite.
tray.
Yeah.
Jewelry tray. I got
Oh,
one
right.
more. Oh, and I got a bracelet.
Lots of jewelry.
The jewelry tray was cool because it's strapped to the back of her
Yeah,
bike
this-
on top of everything.
Beautiful bracelet.
Yes.
It's like
Forgot the name of the beads already. Oops.
they're like a pink color. They look almost like pearly Himalayan salt.
Yes.
Nice.
They had
Well
a name,
done,
and I
Brian.
thought, oh, got to remember that name. And
Yeah,
look
pearly
not even
Himalayan
10
salt.
hours
I
later,
just
and-
named it.
Yeah,
So we stopped, in Quartzsite for
that was
lunch, and
dangerous.
then
I'd never stopped there before.
yeah, it was pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I could have spent a good. My girlfriend Carrie is always trying to get me to go out there with her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll be like, oh, when are we going to Quartzsite?
Oh no!
You got to bring the little bike trailer
Yeah, exactly.
to load up with
She
all
takes
your
her truck.
jewelry.
She doesn't mess around because she's into the rocks and all of that stuff.
I like the little bike trailer idea a lot better. We can still ride our scoots out
How
and
many
trailer on
how
our
many
crap back.
geodes can you fit on a bike
Oh,
trailer?
yeah.
Exactly, right?
I guess it's good to leave money everywhere you go. We're real
And I
good
do
at
like
that.
to support.
Yeah.
I do. I
Oh,
like to
sure.
support
economy.
the little, like this lady here that made this piece of jewelry. She was in a park with a blanket out, and she had beautiful. And I knew when I walked by, I looked at her stuff, and I kept walking. And then I kind of did a U-turn, and I knew right when I did the U-turn, I thought I shouldn't be doing this. And then I literally sat on the grass and went through all her stuff.
You want to hear a story about my favorite jade jewelry?
Yes.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Okay, so myself and my lovely girlfriend at the time, who had only been dating for less than a year, we decided to take a road trip up the Pacific Coast Highway. You know, coming from Southern California going north, it's not as good of a view because, you know, you're looking out to the left at the ocean and, you know, there could be stuff in the way sometimes. But we came to this nice little camping spot and the sign said Jade Cove. So we stop there for the day, we unpack, we get our camping gear out, and then we follow this footpath down to the beach, and you have to go down all these stairs, and it's just a beautiful cove, and there's a big jade rock face. Like, you look at it, and it doesn't look like the jade, like the typical jade jewelry, where it's like the light green. It was like a deep, dark, almost emerald kind of jade. And, you know, I violated a rule. I took a couple pieces of the jade that I found laying on the ground. I know you're not supposed to take,
That's
you know,
bad luck.
stuff. I know it's bad luck, but it was good luck for me because I'll tell you what happened. I got these pieces of jade that I found with my girlfriend at the time and brought them back to Riverside, and I found a really cool person who did jewelry. Two people, Roger and Cecilia were their names, from out in out by Temecula. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
But they made a nice little engagement ring out of a piece of jade, and I gave that to my lady.
Did she say yes?
Not that time. No, I'm kidding.
Nice. Yeah, Tracy's over here shaking her head. Nope.
No, she didn't say yes. She went, "What? No, what? Me? No." But I took her to the roof of the Mission Inn, and I gave it to her, and I said, "Will you be my Valentine now and forever?" No, it was actually like just after Dia de los Muertos, so it wasn't
That's
Valentine's
great.
Day.
That's great.
But gave her this jade ring, and you know, ever since then we've been together. I did get her a real diamond ring, okay? It's a beautiful yellow
Listen to him
canary
trying to explain himself.
diamond ring. She still has the jade.
That's better than champagne.
Yeah. It's a souvenir now, and it came accompanied with a necklace, so it's a ring and a necklace kind of thing. But it's a nice little thing that I did, and
good on you.
Yeah. That was like our first road trip together, and it's beautiful. It's one of those ones that we've tried to recreate by going up and down the PCH
This is getting sappy. If y'all were on a scoot, it'd be much more.
I know.
Yeah, much more.
I'm trying to contribute here. I don't have any motorcycle stories, but I have traveling stories.
You do have traveling stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll
Those are
get
good
there.
stories,
I'll make
brother.
some traveling
Very
stories
good.
eventually once I get on those two wheels, Lord willing, and maybe with some sponsorships, if we can get some money coming into the podcast and the
You're
book.
hilarious. You're ready.
Hey, you guys,
Ready
if
to
you
jump
want
on.
me to get on a motorcycle, pay for the lessons. They have them at Castle Park in Riverside every weekend. I'll ride around in circles, and then I'll be able to, start scooting along on a scoot.
Oh, that'd be great. Have you guys along, or you?
Yeah.
You guys.
For a while.
Yeah.
Me and my lovely
I'll bring
wife.
her with me.
There you go. Throw her on Annette's back.
Maybe
Well, and we really did that, and that was the idea. It's wonderful to have someone you can share things with that you do, but to have someone who's okay keeping up with you when you're riding, in my opinion, it's kind of worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't mind jumping here, jumping there, but most people cannot ride more than a few hundred miles a day, whether it be passenger, whether it be on their own motorcycle. So I know I really appreciate
And then still like each other at the end of the day when you get there.
Well, I think that's a benefit. We don't have that intercom thing, so
I was gonna
we
ask
only
about
talk
that.
for a few
Do you
minutes.
guys have hand signals, or how do you tell each
Oh,
other
yeah.
that you need to pull over and tinkle or something like that?
Well, you
Bob.
yeah,
Tinkle.
yeah. You point to your crotch if you have to tinkle.
Yeah.
You point to the.
Because I know
gas
Annette can
tank.
hold it. It's Bob that's
It's
got
Bob
the little.
that has the issue.
Oh,
little
for
bladder.
crying out loud! I do not have it. I just drink a lot of coffee, y'all.
That
Yeah,
makes
but
you have an
that
issue.
chopper doesn't.
They're hilarious.
It's probably hitting you, and
Oh no, this was my pop scoot. It was way comfy.
Yeah.
I don't think we. Oh, we did hit the rest area once. Yeah, because I drank.
Oh yeah, we
in the
did
morning.
stop once.
Yeah. Other than that, I just use the restroom every 130 miles or so.
The triple B, Bob's baby bladder.
Oh my gosh, this
We
is not.
stopped
This is
in,
not funny.
Gila Bend.
Gila-
Tell them that story, honey.
Gila Bend. Oh
Tell
yeah,
them
do
that
not
story,
take women to the Gila Bend Shell Station on the corner there. It's covered in cool metal artwork that you put in the yard, and some of it's really big, and they want to
Buy it all.
buy it all and put it on the scoot and try to take it home. It doesn't work. But also, more importantly, if you happen to be dismounting your motorcycle, make sure you know where her motorcycle is, because you might bump into her motorcycle before she puts the kickstand down, and you might turn around to find her laying on the ground.
Oh no!
Dun 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 dun.
Did you kick his ass?
No, I didn't kick his ass.
No, it happens. But boy, I felt like an idiot.
You were sleeping on the couch that night. Weren't
You know,
See the bruises I got.
it's just one bruise. I love it. That's great.
It is just one bruise, but yeah, I went over.
Regardless, it sucked.
It's like big time.
She's done it to me a few times, but I usually catch the scoot. But it's just the parking lot we were in.
And the car next to us.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Your helmet hit the car next to us.
Oh, did you leave a dent?
I don't even.
No, you didn't. I checked.
No.
But so there's a bunch of these like metal sculptures and stuff that you wanted to
They're
take home.
pretty cool stuff, yeah.
Big
Flying
scrap,
pig. No, I
scrap
just
metal
wanted the-
T-Rex. Oh yeah, you
I
like
just wanted
pigs,
the flying
huh?
pig, yeah.
Oh,
That's right. I
gosh.
don't know if we've discussed that. You have a thing for flying pigs,
I
right?
do.
Yeah, like all
That's why
over your
she's
house
dating
and your
me.
property.
Just
Flying
wondered.
Marshall,
Right.
the best flying pig.
Yeah, I have pigs all over. Flying pigs, not pigs, flying pigs.
Yeah, they're statues of flying pigs. They're not actual flying pigs. We need to.
I wish
She's
they
got
were.
She's got mermaids too. They're not actual mermaids.
Yeah. Well, it's the flying pigs you got to look out for. I mean, because yeah, they
Yeah,
crap
there was
everywhere.
a few I found this weekend that I did not purchase.
Okay.
I found that one there.
But that's why we breed motorcycles.
Well, no, I could have had it boxed. I know.
Oh,
how
for
to do
crying
that
out
stuff.
loud.
Then I found a really cool hanging one from India and she only wanted 16 for that, but I can't really hang anything in Fontana outside because our Santa Ana winds. I'm like, that's useless.
Fontucky.
Did you notice that? I looked at the wind charts before we left.
Yeah,
and I remember before we left,
my neck
right?
is killing me.
I said, like, the wind's going to be at our back going out there, and it looks like there's a bit of a shift with the rain, so the wind's going to also be at our back coming in. This is through Whitewater.
Okay.
On the 10, Palm Springs, all the large wind gens that are flying. And boy, right before we hit the area, I looked to the side and I can see all the trees, and we're just going straight into the wind. And I thought, it's not a big deal. I think we had to slow down a few miles an hour.
Yeah, we slowed down, but
to about 64, right?
Yeah, that's it. 64.
Yeah, that's it. And but having those big fairings on the big scoots like we do, needless to say, it's a bit more work.
It's just hard on. I mean, the work inside that doesn't. But since I have a neck injury, and it's really hard on my neck. Like right now, my neck is like killing me. I
had nothing to do with her neck injury. Just throwing it out there.
You did not. But yeah, it's definitely. I could feel it. I'm like, oh. So
Does your helmet help when you're riding with a neck injury, or does it hurt?
It makes it worse.
It makes it worse
with the wind, because now you have the drag.
Okay.
And it's throwing you a bit to the left or right.
Would it help to have like a neck brace or something?
No,
when you ride?
no. It's just I haven't been riding as often as I used to. I mean, prior I had surgery in the end of October, so I didn't ride up until I started riding in October, or middle of December, and then my bike broke. I had a problem with my bike, so then it was in the shop for 3 weeks or so.
Yeah,
and then when I got it back, then the rain started. So this was really my first big trip since Babes.
Yeah,
really.
And it was just a nice medium size.
So a couple months.
We had a good weekend. It was nice to get away, and I do this a lot in my life, just jumping on the scoot for the weekend and hopping over to Arizona or wherever. But it was really great to do with Annette. It's pretty rewarding.
Yeah.
I can see how that'd be cool.
We just do it together.
Yeah, you're not you're not alone going somewhere, and then you're also not part of a big.
We might have to rethink this, Bill.
Yeah, it must be really cool to ride with a significant other.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. She keeps up pretty well. So,
do you guys hold hands when you're riding?
Oh yeah, right next to all the time.
Yeah, just imagine.
Like
that.
we don't we talk with the microphone. No,
going into the sunset, you got birds making a heart shape as you drive by.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Disney style.
No, we don't talk. We don't. Some people have the micro. They can talk between each. I don't.
Yeah.
In fact, I won a system, and I traded. I gave it to Bob for a Kindle.
I didn't realize
it was a good trade.
I didn't realize until recently that people on motorcycles could have a little Bluetooth kind of radio.
Yeah,
I thought that was something that just cops had on their motorcycles.
Yeah,
it's been around for a
long,
long time. But now this new thing with the Bluetooth,
Bluetooth. The Sennas,
the Sennas.
Cool.
I'm sure there's other manufacturers too.
Oh yeah,
but I just have a Senna.
Did motorcycle riders back in the day, did they used to have the CB radios on the motorcycle, or would those even work?
So so that's one of the Goldwing features. I've actually got room on my Goldwing for a CB. Of course,
10-4 rubber ducky.
Yeah, I mean you can get the mounts and everything. Of course, I don't have it or use it. I really just prefer not to be bothered by others. But I reckon the CBs, same reason. Truckers would use them, see what the weather is, see what the traffic is. We hit a bunch of traffic coming back today. It would have been nice to have a little warning about it. I guess the CB would have helped then, but it's just another distraction. So I just turn on an Audible book or my music. And
I just imagine you on your motorcycle with the CB radio and that huge antenna sticking up, looking like a bumper car or something.
Oh yeah, no, I got one on my Goldwing now for the FM radio.
Yeah, and does it go back and forth?
Yeah, and I've ran under carports and hit it with stuff and kind of really rocked it. So it's but I'm happy with just the FM antenna.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody either.
No, it's not. Yeah,
yeah, I have friends that love it, and they just talk just talk as they're going down the road to each other about whatever.
I'd be distracted.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody. That's my time.
Yeah, exactly.
I make my best. If I need to make some really big decisions, in my life, I'll jump on my bike.
Yeah.
And that's when I make my decisions.
Yeah, and she's always 100 yards behind me or 50 yards behind me, or I'm 50 yards behind her.
I thought you hold hands.
Yeah, we do a bit of side-by-side out on the open road, but for the most part, it's easier just to have one follow the other. So
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. What better time and place to have some moments of introspection than, driving through this beautiful United States of America that we have under our feet.
Amen.
I feel like a lot of people have lost sight on the value of introspection, and any excuse to have it would be awesome. If riding a motorcycle is going to take you off your phone long enough to check your Facebook, Instagram, or emails, then yeah, that's going to be worth a lot. And I think more people will see that and start to value that as they pick up this motorcycle, life ways, riding and...
Well, and a motorcycle is just an avenue. I mean, if you want to use a car, if you want to use scuba diving, if you want to use whatever vessel you want to use to get to where you want to be in life, for me, it is a road, absolutely.
But motorcycles are so cool. I mean, if I want some introspection time, I'm not going to look like a geek with a snorkel and flippers just because I want to go think underwater. No, I'd rather be on a motorcycle going down the road at like 80 miles an hour thinking deep thoughts like... Why do hot dogs come in packs of 10 and hot dog buns come in packs of 8 or something?
I have yeah.
Why?
Why don't they get together and figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay, that was what it was. We might have to rethink this bell. I don't know. It's pretty cool, but
I like it. I think it's being overused a little bit. We got to do a 2-bell rule throughout the podcast.
Okay. Tracy's over there shaking her head a lot.
I'm sure that rings in producer Tracy's ears every time we ring it. It's just shocking her.
Nice. Annette, thanks for hanging out with me this weekend. It was a good time.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah,
right.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, book festival.
Book festival. That's why I went.
Yeah, apparently.
And for coming on the podcast, I mean, it looked like you were so tired sitting on the couch, you weren't going to go anywhere. So we just took you hostage and put a microphone up to you. We're like, hey.
People are going to be tired of hearing from me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, we only know a reason why she's on.
I think they're going to be tired of hearing from me before they're tired of hearing from you.
Look, the trick is you just disguise your voice. We've had the same 2 guests on every single episode. They just use a different voice every time. Different name,
Different name.
Sometimes it slips.
Yeah,
You're like,
that's great. That's great. Well, it was a good weekend. No major breakdowns. Everything worked well.
I got to shop, I got to eat, got to drink, got to see music, got to meet new friends.
I got to sit and watch panels and hang out with a bunch of bookies.
Yeah, he'd send me pictures of people. I'm like, okay, who's this?
Look at this author. Look at that author. Look at this book. Look at that book.
It's a person.
It's a person to me. I'm like,
It's
I
another
have
person.
no idea.
Look
who
at this
these people
printing
are.
format. Yeah, I kind of geeked out.
So what's the next trip you guys have coming up? Do you have anything planned? Or
We were going to hit up the Trog this weekend, but we still might. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, you got a Band-Aid this weekend, I see, babe.
That's not a Band-Aid. It looks like a piece of black tape around your finger.
Listen, she needed a Band-Aid. I improvised. Electrical tape did the job.
Yes.
You're welcome.
It worked. I was just trying to keep my cut clean because your hands get so dirty out there. And
I didn't have any hockey stick tape with me.
yeah,
Otherwise, I
not
would
there.
have used
I hope
that.
I never break my arm around you, Bob. I'd hate to know what you're going to do to,
Keep it up.
I got a hammer and some hockey stick tape.
Yeah, this works. I actually do have a Band-Aid under there, a couple of them.
Nice.
But I just, with the dirt in the road, and
Yeah.
I cut my finger pretty deep.
For those of you at home, she looks like a football player with the black tape on her fingers. You ever see those linemen that have all the black tape on all their fingers? Yeah, that's what Annette looks
And
like
I got to
right
keep
now.
it where it doesn't bend too much because the cut's like right there in the bend, so I don't want it to split
Just
open.
filleted it. Did it like butterfly when you opened it? Just
Oh, you could totally, it was so deep you could see all the white in there, and
beautiful.
it was gross.
Yeah.
But I was in the middle of a project, so I was like,
Tape it up.
can't go to the ER.
Yeah.
Can't go urgent care. I gotta finish. My paint will dry up. Or
Well, the next time you're on the podcast, we'll see if you still got your finger. We pray that you don't get gangrene or anything from
yes,
from Bob's black tape Band-Aid.
We had
being
plenty.
so cheap, don't want to go emergency room.
Yeah, no need for that. We got
can
electrical tape.
And you'll get some jewelry that'll just cover it right up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up then.
Amen.
Yeah, Bob, we're going to be making an appearance pretty soon here, right?
It's pretty exciting. We were kind enough to deal with one Mr. Cuddy and get a booth over at the Hippie Killer Hoedown, Paris.
Paris, California.
Yeah, not Paris, France.
Yeah,
no.
Don't go to Paris, France expecting to see the American Roadrunner podcast.
Yeah, we're actually going to have a double booth. We're going to be selling books. I might even sign them for you at your request. We're also going to have a great distribution for our Old West books. I've got quite the Old West book collection, and I was looking for a way to get rid of it, so those will all be discounted for sale. But most importantly, we're going to be doing some live podcasting.
That's right. Your host and co-host, Bob Marshall, and myself, Brian Phillipson, will be doing live podcasting at the Hippie Killer. So if you have a story to tell about your two-wheeled machines, please come down,
bring them on
visit
down.
us. And we would love to hear it. We will put you on the podcast if you got a good story, and you're sober enough that you're not slurring too much when you tell the story.
Then you're in.
Yes, then you are in. And if you got a long story,
don't know what to tell you.
No, I'll tell you what to do. You go on the website at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook.com.
Perfect.
You tell us your story. Anybody can do that. We really want to hear any kind of story about, being on the road on your motorcycle. Good, the bad, the ugly, the crashes, Maybe not so much the crashes, but
those work too. I crashed once. There's only two types of riders, those that have crashed and those that will crash, so it happens. All the gear all the time. But yeah, that's Saturday the 6th, Hippie Killer Hoedown, Paris Fairgrounds.
Yeah, so join us there. And again, you can find us on AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook.com. Listen to this podcast at all the places you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, all that good stuff. You can find American Roadrunner by Bob Marshall on Amazon in paperback, and you can download it on ebook. You can email us at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, if you have any ideas, any subjects that you want us to tackle on the podcast. We'll be more than happy to greet you with an answer.
And just a big congratulations before I forget. One Mr. Curtis Morgan over at Ride 1K in a Day did have a nice giveaway yesterday, and one Mr. IM4 Photo, that is his handle on Instagram, won a copy of my book. So congratulations, Mr. IM4 Photo.
Is that the number 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Letter I, letter M, number 4, PHOTO.
And if you want your name said on the podcast, just like that person, go to Ride 1K in a Day, Ride 1K in a Day, and get a really cool sticker and all the other cool stuff that comes when you ride 1,000 miles in one day.
And this guy was awesome. His comment was, awesome! Can't wait to crack the pages. Thanks. So this guy was pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad that he spelled it right, because if he wrote "can't wait to crap in the pages," that would have been terrible.
But I suspect he's going to get an author's note in that copy of the book too that simply says, thank you for enjoying my story. Feel free to share yours. So
good.
We're pretty excited.
All right. So along with Ride 1K in a Day, also got to check out The Flying Dutchman at The Flying Dutchman Co. That's all one word at Instagram. Got some really cool custom stuff. Also, check out theartofbowmonster.com. Mr. Bowmonster is the one who did the book cover for American Roadrunner. Really cool stuff. So, with that, we're going to leave you with a little song. What song is that, Mr. Bob Marshall?
That would be the song Here We Are by one of our favorite bands, Meek, from their album Red Sprite Lightning. Enjoy, my fellows. Be good to each other.
And ride safe.
We jump from gravity to take you